You know, some people get a title, but very few truly own it. When you hear The King, only one person comes to mind: Elvis Presley. He didn't just sing songs, he completely changed the game for music and culture forever. So today, we're going to get into the incredible story of the man himself.
And really, it's a story that almost sounds made up. How on earth does a shy, poor kid from a tiny town in Mississippi grow up to become one of the most famous people who ever lived? That's a heck of a question. To figure it out, we've got to go right back to the very beginning. All right, so let's start here. How exactly was the legend of the King born? Okay, picture this: 1935, Tupelo, Mississippi. We're talking about a tiny, two-room house that his own father helped build. This is where Elvis Aaron Presley was born. And there's a really sad part to this story right from the start. His identical twin brother, Jesse, was stillborn. This meant Elvis grew up as an only child, and you can imagine that created this incredibly tight bond with his parents, especially his mother. Now, this next part is absolutely crucial. When Elvis was 13, his family packed up and moved to Memphis, Tennessee, hoping to find better opportunities. And what they found was a city just buzzing with music. I mean, it was a total melting pot of sounds, and for a kid like Elvis, it was like walking into a whole new world. This move changed everything.
So what was he hearing in Memphis? Well, he was like a sponge. He was soaking up the powerful, soulful gospel music from the church services he attended. Then you had the raw, gritty blues pouring out of the clubs on Beale Street. And of course, there was the heartfelt storytelling of country music on the radio. The real magic, though, is that he didn't just listen to them separately. He started mixing them all together in his head, creating a sound that nobody had ever heard before.
And that unique blend of sounds? Well, that was the fuel that was about to launch him from complete obscurity into superstardom at a speed that was, well, it was just mind-blowing.
You know, the way he was discovered almost sounds like a movie plot. He wasn't even trying to get a record deal. At 18, he just walks into a little studio called Sun Records because he wanted to record a song as a birthday present for his mom. But the guy running the place, a producer named Sam Phillips, heard something in his voice. He later said he was looking for a white singer with a black sound and a black feel. And with Elvis, he knew, right then and there, he'd found it.
And from that moment on, things just exploded. I mean, look at this timeline. In 1954, he records That's All Right, which is basically one of the first rock and roll songs, period. By the very next year, he's signing a massive deal with a major label, RCA. And by 1956, Heartbreak Hotel hits #1 and sells over 1 million copies. This wasn't a slow burn, it was a rocket ship.
But it was so much more than just the music. It was how he performed it. The way he moved on stage, well, it drove teenagers crazy, and it absolutely terrified their parents. They nicknamed him Elvis the Pelvis, and TV shows would literally only film him from the waist up. He was rebellious, he was electric, and he was everything the conservative 1950s wasn't ready for.
But then, right when he was on top of the world, the whole thing just grinds to a halt. His career takes this huge, unexpected detour that would really define the entire next chapter of his life.
Can you imagine? In 1958, the biggest star on the planet gets a draft notice. So he becomes Private Presley and ships off to serve in Germany for 2 years. And while he was over there, he suffered the biggest personal blow of his life. His beloved mother, Gladys, died. He was devastated, and people close to him said he never truly got over it.
So when he gets out of the army, what's next? Hollywood. And this number right here, 31, it says it all. He made 31 movies in about a decade. And while they made a ton of money and made him a huge movie star, most of them were, well, they were pretty fluffy. The scripts were formulaic, the songs were forgettable, and for an artist like Elvis, was incredibly frustrating. He felt like he was trapped in a cage.
After years of being kind of lost in that Hollywood machine, Elvis pulled off what many people say is the greatest comeback in music history. But as we'll see, that incredible high was followed by a truly tragic fall.
So what was the turning point? It was a TV special in 1968. Seriously, after all those cheesy beach movies, he gets on stage in this incredible black leather suit. He looked dangerous again. He wasn't playing some character. He was just Elvis. The music was raw, it was powerful, and it was a massive statement to the world that the King was back. And man, did he ride that comeback wave. He launched a whole new chapter of his career in Las Vegas. This is the Elvis that a lot of us picture in our heads, right? The iconic jeweled jumpsuits, the massive stage production, the powerhouse voice. He basically invented the modern Las Vegas residency and became its undisputed king.
But here's the heartbreaking part. While his professional life was soaring again, his personal life was falling apart. The insane pressure of being Elvis took its toll. He became dependent on prescription drugs, and his health just went into a steep decline. Then, on August 16, 1977, the world stood still. Elvis Presley died at his home, Graceland. He was only 42 years old.
So that leads to the big question, why? Why are we still so fascinated by him all these decades later? Why is his legacy not just surviving, but actually thriving? Let's break down that impact.
Let's just start with a number that is almost impossible to wrap your head around. Over 1 billion records sold worldwide. That's not just a successful career, that's a level of global connection that's almost unheard of. It shows that his music resonated with people everywhere, across every possible line you can draw.
And look at the recognition he got. What's so amazing is that even though we call him the king of rock and roll, all 3 of his competitive Grammy Awards were for his gospel music, the music he loved first. He's in the Hall of Fame for rock, country, and gospel. That just proves that the unique fusion he created back in Memphis really did change everything.
So in the end, you realize Elvis was way more than just a musician. He was a true cultural phenomenon. He didn't just sing songs. He changed fashion. He changed attitudes. He changed what it meant to be a celebrity. He was the flashpoint for a whole new generation.
And that brings us back to that one moment, that one simple act of a son wanting to do something nice for his mom. It makes you wonder, right? If he had never walked into Sun Records that day, what would the last 70 years of pop music even sound like? It's pretty hard to imagine, isn't it?